Let us know where you're connecting from. Drop an emoji, drop a feedback. We would love to hear from you. This is Face Youth, and we are making an impact. Somebody says that if you want to go very fast, go alone. But if you want to go very far, go as a congregation, go as a group. And that is what we're doing today. I'm going to hand over to our host, Ife Anyebu. Please, DJ, take it away. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Henry. Welcome, 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 everyone. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much. If you come in, let us know where you're joining from. It's good to connect with people in your cities. Thank you for joining us today. We understand that Saturday is a busy day for many, so we appreciate this sacrifice and all that. We also welcome those on YouTube, those joining us live on YouTube. You know, if you have a question, drop it there, and then somebody is going to attend to it. So let us know where you're joining from. Hi, Mabel from Aberdeen. Yes, it's a good day, beautiful day in Aberdeen today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Hi, so my name is, many of you know me though, but my name is Ife Anyebu, and I'm the founder and convener for the Foundation for Advancement of Child Education and Youth Empowerment, a registered charity in Scotland and international in Nigeria, where we promote and support quality education and well-being for the disadvantaged child and young adults. So we'll play the short video, and I don't intend to take much of your time. We appreciate the sacrifice. I know it's going to be a great day because we have seasoned speakers who are going to speak to us about stress and anxiety management. So if you have any questions, you can drop it on the box. So please listen to a short video about FACEYOUth. The Foundation for Advancement of Child Education and Youth Empowerment, FACEYOUth, is a grassroots-inspired charitable organization with vested interest in alleviating poverty, promotion and support of quality education for the disadvantaged child, as well as promotion and provision of vocational and skills acquisition programs for the empowerment of youth. We believe that education and youth empowerment are potentially significant in contributing to the growth of every community. And it is this belief that inspired us to start a FACEYOUth to bridge the gap in educational opportunities between school children in rural communities and more developed communities by sponsoring as many underprivileged students as possible, by increasing youth representation and involvement in the decision-making process, by promoting and developing entrepreneurial spirit among youth, because we believe that entrepreneurship is one of the pathways to ending poverty, by disseminating relevant information about issues concerning youth written by youth. 3,500 families are beneficiaries of our Street Food Bank initiative, Mission Love. 250 children are beneficiaries of FACEYOUth Scholarship Scheme in Nigeria and Malawi, and over 500 children have benefited from the Back to School project between 2017 till date, where educational materials were distributed to 5 different schools in Nigeria. FACEYOUth have also renovated and established 2 library projects at public/government primary schools in Eastern Nigeria. Over 80 young entrepreneurs have been given seed funding to support their business from 2018 till date. Entrepreneurship and mentorship seminars are being organized by FACEYOUth to empower young people, both physical in Enugu and virtual via Zoom. We believe that mental health needs unashamed conversation. Stigma and lack of understanding are two barriers that keep people, especially those from Africa and other ethnic minority communities, from seeking help regarding their mental health issues. It is in light of this that we launched the monthly Mental Health Awareness and Stigma Reduction Initiative for young people to tackle mental health issues in young people, especially from its onset. Our big project right now is the Eastern Food Bank, which was born out of a seasonal mission love initiative, because we believe hunger is not seasonal. And another big project is our radio school project to take quality education to remote places with radio network in Africa. Like every charity, our greatest need is financial. If you would like to support us, please, all we ask is for you to make a commitment of 1,000 naira monthly or $2 monthly. We understand that the economy is not stable at the moment. We all need a little extra support. But we believe that these little amounts can help us give children in rural communities quality education they deserve and also help alleviate poverty. We promise to keep you up to date on our activities and how we are spending whatever donations or grants we get. If you can spare anything at all, it will be greatly appreciated. If you also like to partner with us or know somebody that would like to collaborate or partner with us, please initiate the introduction. You can contact us via our email info@faceyouth.org or go to our website www.faceyouth.org/get-involved. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Right. I'm going to hand over back to Henry. But before I do that, I would like to mention that, before we recently got support for our mental health activities from the Scottish government via AGVO. AGVO is the organization that supports the third sector in Aberdeen, so we're really grateful for them. We also recently got a center in Aberdeen, so we'll be holding both physical and virtual events going forward from once the Omicron virus restrictions are lifted. So we're planning to open the place on the 12th of February 2022. So it will be good if you can join us if you are in Aberdeen, but the event will also be streamed. That's where we will have our next mental health seminar with the theme mental health and stigma. So thank you so much to everyone that supported us. Thank you to Belma Engineering for donating the center rent-free to FACEYOUth. We really appreciate you all. I will hand over to Henry to continue with the event.
Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you. Our applause. We applaud the great work that you and your team are doing. And we celebrate the grace of God upon your life. Without further ado, I'm going to be introducing our first speaker for today, Morag. I'm going to read a short bio. Morag's ability to relate, problem solve, empathize, but retain a pragmatic approach means goal-directed programs with measurable outcomes are developed. She compassionately supports individuals and groups via coaching, training, and counseling. Morag is a dog lover. She enjoys time in nature as well as sewing. She has her own business. She's a fellow member of CIPD. I'm not sure what that is. A member of BPS, member of International Stress Management Association, a member of Beaches Association for Counseling and Psychotherapy. Pardon me. Having been a volunteer with the British Red Cross for 35 years plus, Morag started her career as a teacher. She remains positively focused on people and psychology with 23 plus years HR generalist management experience and 3 years in psychotherapy. Pardon me once again. Morag has experience in global and UK multi-site organizations across varying sectors, therefore communicating across time zones and online platforms. As an HR generalist, Morag is experienced in change and stress management, and she has created many well-being programs. She also provides individual psychotherapy using CBT, ACT, mindfulness, and person-centered approaches. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, family and friends, please make welcome Morag Ormiston.
Thank you very much for that introduction. It's always very strange to hear your own bio. So yeah, I am Morag. I have a human resource background, a teaching background, and a psychotherapy background, and that might sound a bit strange, but I'm 47, so I have had a length of my career. So welcome to everyone, and thank you very much for letting me join you. So I hope you can all see my slides now. So just as has been introduced, I've put in here, my professional memberships, because sometimes that's important to people to know, who's speaking and where their background is. So the FCIPD is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. I think the rest were explained. So British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy, Psychological Society, and International Stress Management Association. So we have about half an hour today, and I'm going, it's quite a short time to speak about quite a lot of the subjects that that really are so I'm so passionate about. But I'm going to talk about this overview of health and well-being and how it impacts the mind and body. And I'm very passionate about the fact that it's an interaction between the mind and body, and I'll explain why as we go. I'm going to talk a little bit about the impact of stress, how we can reduce stress by connecting our mind and body through a bit of work on nutrition and nature, and an example of some resilience and stress management. And there's a couple of little practical tools I can give you to take away, and a little bit of grounding that I do often use with my psychotherapy clients. So I like to look at this Hugh definition of health and well-being, and it's that state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. And it's not really just about an absence of disease or infirmity. So we're not looking at just illness and losing our lives. We're looking at how do we balance our physical and mental and social well-being. And so for me, the emotional and spiritual resilience, which does allow us to enjoy our life and survive pain, disappointment, and sadness, is really important. This positive sense of well-being and an underlying belief in our own and others' dignity and worth is fundamental to the work that I do. Hence the point there. I've 35 years in the Red Cross. It's really taught me my values as a young girl. I started there when I was age 8, if you're trying to work at my age. And I really believe in the value of treating others with dignity and respect, and also treating ourselves with that compassion. And mental health, this biopsychosocial model of mental health that we love to use, is looking at the impact of our mind on our biology and on our relationships. And so mental health can be the pinnacle, and it can be the demise of some of those other aspects of our life. But likewise, if we have good biology, if we have good social contacts, if we have good nutrition, if we have good physical activity, then we can impact our mental health too in a positive way. So why does it matter? Why does it matter that we're talking about this? You know, the demand for mental health services across the globe is increasing. And in Africa, I looked at some figures. Particularly, it's increasing amongst vulnerable populations like women. Apparently, most African governments devote less than 1% of their budgets to mental health services. And the evidence-based intervention, a frontline method of treating mental health in low-income countries, is devoid. It's not meeting the demands. And if we look at some statistics, you know, the depression is the most prevalent mental health illness in the world. Currently, an estimated 100 million people in Africa are suffering from clinical depression, including those of being 66 million women. And the World Bank considers it the greatest thief of productive economic life, with yearly global costs from mental, neurological, and substance use disorders estimated at between $2.5 to $8.5 trillion a year. And it's projected to double. And there's a source there on if these slides are given out. And so, you know, the link between my human resources background, which is about employment and maintaining people in employment, my initial qualifications and work in teaching, and my now qualifications and experience in psychotherapy and well-being is very much about taking people from the start of their journey, you know, helping children in school, helping parents, helping you through your working life, and helping people, you know, when they do get into some difficulties with psychotherapy. So it matters to me that we actually collaboratively work together to manage this global crisis. And so today I've been asked to talk about stress awareness. And if we think about the World Health Organization definition of stress, it's a reaction that we may have when presented with demands and pressures that are not matched to our knowledge and ability, which challenges that ability to cope. So it's a reaction to something that challenges our ability to cope with it. Sometimes these things are out with our control, but it's how we perceive that control that impacts our ability to manage our situations. And in the UK, we're specifically looking at, you know, the challenge that stress in itself is not an illness, it is a state. But if stress becomes too excessive and prolonged, then the mental and physical illnesses may develop. So stress in itself is not categorized as an illness that is in itself treatable. It's the other factors that then become illness that we then often see our medical professionals working with. But if we can tackle the stress before things become an illness, then we're more likely to manage it. So let's look at our natural systems that are there, the limbic system that is there, that responds to fear, the fight-flight response. So this acute stress response was first described by Walter Cannon in the 1920s. So when you're normally when you sit and you're in a relaxed state, in an unstimulated state, you've got all of these neurons that will be fighting, but they might be minimal, right, in terms of a stress response. So when we get a stimulus, once that is perceived, so say that I'm fearful of cats, and once that stimulus is perceived, it's relayed, and the rate of the signaling increases the meaning that tells us to become alert and attentive to that environment. So if I'm scared of cats, I've now noticed the cats, I've perceived the cat, I've then had that immediate response because I'm fearful, and the stress response with the physiological actions in the sympathetic nervous system, primarily caused by the release of adrenaline and norepinephrine from the medulla of the adrenal glands, is being triggered by these hormones, which facilitate our immediate physical reactions, such as increase in heart rate, increase in breathing, our blood vessels get constricted, our muscles get tightened, and that prepares us to fight, to flee, or to freeze. So it's a very natural response to fear, and we need that fear response to keep us safe. However, if it becomes a prolonged response, then we can become ill. So if you think about typical examples of stressors, you know, acute stressors, maybe I'm late, maybe there's family illness, maybe I'm covering additional duties at work. maybe there's unexpected changes happening. That short-term acute stress, you know, goes up, our sympathetic nervous system kicks in, we have the stressor, we usually deal with it, and our parasympathetic nervous system kicks in to relax us. On a long-term chronic stress case, if we have that poor balance of work and life, financial concerns, maybe pressures to manage deadlines, lack of support, our relationships can start to suffer, our individual health problems start to become a problem, and become more and more unwell, and then snap. That might be when you have that breakdown. So whilst we can't necessarily change the situations that we find ourselves in, we can change the way in which we respond to them. So I like to look at this stress curve, the pressure versus stress. And you know, you'll quite often hear people, oh, well, stress is good for you. So if we think about stress in that good stress being pressure rather than stress, then we think about this curve. So I like to look at this curve in the sense of, if we are wanting to reach our peak of performance, we want to be in that sort of orange zone where we're starting to go from the green to the orange, where we start to see, you know, that would be our example of, you know, we've had a really good day at work, we've been quite motivated, we've achieved something, and then, you know, we go back into being inactive at night. But if this sort of we reach fatigue and things become chronic, we start to then get exhausted. And if we can't find a way to calm that exhaustion or that fatigue, we can't find a way to relax, we can't find a way to reduce that increased anxiety, then we're more likely to go into the red zone when we become ill, where anxiety, depression, panic, all sorts of other you know, illnesses can start to take effect, and we then can reach this burnout stage. So we do need a certain amount of pressure to motivate us. We do need certain, if we have too little, we can equally feel quite stressed and not performing. But we really want to be thinking about getting this balance. And so my work in a lot of my HR contexts has been about getting that balance throughout individuals' lives. They'll have peaks in performance, but it will reduce if people become too busy, lack of resources, lack of support, then we can get into that exhausted stage. And so if we look at this as a continuum, we can have this green zone, there's some positive stress or pressure that leads to that positive learning and development. So, you know, that learning to swim, you know, where we're kind of not understanding what's required of us, we've got that, you know, bit of panic, oh, what do I do in the water? And if there's a supportive environment there, helping us manage that activity, teaching us what to do, then we're going to manage to learn and develop. And then we might have that orange zone where there's temporary stressors which we can recover from. So that might be, you know, that there's a couple of things happening in your life, but these are short-term measures which we know they're going to end, or, you know, illness which is going to pass, or something in which we've managed to cope with. So it's a tolerable stress that can be generated, you know, perhaps by loss of someone or illness, or, you know, and if we have a supportive environment, if we have resource around us, if we use all of the techniques that I think the doctor's going to talk about perhaps today, and a couple that I'm going to use, then we can start to move back into the green zone. When it starts to become toxic, this is when it's more serious, intense, and prolonged. And that's when it starts to have implications for your healthy development and well-being. So if you experience domestic abuse, or witnessing parental drug use, or difficulties with your children, that can lead to prolonged and intensive activations of your body's threat response. So that sympathetic nervous system kicking in, which then leads that to adrenal response, which leads to all sorts of heightened reactions. And if that is not managed, we can then move into the overwhelming stress, where the brain goes into survival mode, when we can't escape, and then that's when we potentially experience that breakdown. So if you've had, you know, long-standing abuse, or if you've had long-standing illness, if you've had long-standing difficulties at work, then this is when it can feel like it becomes overwhelming, and you're moving then into the medical illness side of it. So as I've explained, stressful life events and your resilience can severely impact on whether this becomes mental ill health or mental breakdown. So we all have mental health, right? That's the first thing that I probably should have said at the start. We all have mental health. When it tips into mental ill health, that's when we want to be thinking about, well, we want to think about it before it tips into mental ill health. But if we can manage our mental health and through looking at our physical health, our psychological health, our relationships, then we're less likely to become ill. So we can have stressful life events such as divorce or family death or loss of employment, and that might lead to a loss of confidence. So this is an example of someone that I know. She had a divorce, she had a couple of people died, she lost her job, then she found a new job, she was then bullied at work, and she became lacking in confidence. So that resulted in anxiety for her and ultimately depression. She reduced her concentration, she lost her motivation, her mood was fluctuating, she withdrew from some activities, and her bubble in the world burst. And so she became quite depressed and withdrawn, but she didn't sit in that withdrawn state. She thought to herself, what am I going to do about this? I'm going to look after my self-care. I'm going to look after my sleeping. I'm going to look after my diet. I'm going to connect with my friends. I'm going to look at what's going on in my life. Am I really that unskilled that I've lost my job, or was it a situation that I had no control over? And she started to be able to bounce back. She was able to make changes. And I have countless examples of when we can bounce back, when we can change, and we can get out of those grueling lifetimes, life experiences and life events. And even with severe depression, even with really challenging anxiety, which I'm sure the doctor is going to talk about, we can recover. And it's important to remember that we can recover. And I do a lot of work around work-related stress. And so in the UK, we have the HSE, Health and Safety Work Regulations on stress, which tells us that employers must do risk assessments on stress management, and they should be looking at the 6 areas, such as what are the demands, the workload, the work patterns, and the work environment. They should be looking at what control does that individual have in the way that they do their work. So can they work, fluidly? Is the work set in a routine way? What choices does that employee have? But I like to use these in a wider context, not just employment. What support does that person have? Do they have the recognised encouragement? Do they have some sponsorship? Do they have the resources? Do they have a good line manager? Do they have a good set of friends? Which then brings us into the relationships. So if we're talking about the working environment, promoting a positive working environment which minimises conflict and reduces conflict is key. So if you work in an environment where there's lots of pressure and fighting between colleagues, or you can't talk to your colleagues, that in itself can be a really stressful situation to go through. And I've been there, it's not nice. So we'll also look at the role. How clear are you about the role? So even if you think about yourself as an individual, as a student, as a young person, how clear are you about the task that's been asked of you? Are you confused about what you've got to do in the day, in the week, in the month? And if you are, if you don't ask, then that can lead to lots of conflict and anxiety building up and stress building up. And then change is a huge one. Dealing with uncertainty, dealing with the difficulties that we experience in day-to-day life, and how we can manage that, in particular from an organizational context, is key. And so involving people through that change process is really important. So some tips, what I would say to you is, if you can look at your bases, so your body, your achievement, your connection, and your enjoyment, and then taking a step back, then you can start to get a much better mind-body connection, a mind-body support mechanism. So if we think about body care, we want to think about the steps that you take to ensure you get enough sleep. We want to think about your diet and your eating times. We want to think about actively planning rest times, so making sure that you diary in time when you're not working or being responsible for other people. How things like alcohol, drugs, smoking and caffeine affect you. We want to look at some exercise routine and ideally getting some space outside in nature. So there's some clinical studies that suggest that spending time in nature reduces stress, reduces blood pressure, depression, anxiety, overthinking, so rumination, attention deficiency, hyperactive disorder symptoms, and pain. And by being in nature, we can increase our mood, we can increase our self-esteem, we can increase our energy and our ability to direct and restore attention. So nature has an absolute healing quality, but it's about taking the time to be in that. And when you're in that time, then you can be mindful of what's going on. And, I think we might hear a bit more about that later. So with nature as therapy, notice the bird life, paying attention to different appearances. You maybe want to learn about bird watching. This is just an example. You might want to take a walk to somewhere peaceful. You might want to volunteer with local charities or community groups, such as those working with animals and the environment. You might want to do your bit for the environment by collecting rubbish or recyclables, collect items from nature, if any shells or pebbles or driftwood, or acorns or any kind of leaves, and get your head out so that you can learn to notice the sights, the sounds, the smells and the sensations. So I'm going to do a little bit of a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique before we leave, if we can. I'm mindful of time, so I need to crack on. But I think it's really important to use that. We want to also think about what are we achieving in the world. So our brain gets a boost when we achieve things during the day. So the neurotransmitter dopamine and purposeful activity increases serotonin. So 2 very important things to be helping you with. So you'll find these often in drugs that you might get, serotonin particularly in antidepressants, and I think we might get a bit more information on that later. So by planning realistic and achievable goals every day, however large or small these may be, and for some people that might be getting out of bed, for the severely depressed. For others it might be project related tasks, or it might be cleaning the house, it might be getting the children to school on time. Whatever those are, is to add in some of those into your week. Connecting with others is hugely important. When you're around others, and when we feel unwell, we often withdraw and isolate ourselves. But connecting with others helps to release the neurotransmitter oxytocin, which helps to boost our well-being. So planning in connection time with other people, whether it's smiling, saying hello, whether it's online work, chats, whether it's much better to be in person. But if we can't connect in person, then we can at least connect via videos, ideally. And then enjoyment. When our mood dips, we often feel tired, and the first things we stop doing are the fun and enjoyable things. And quite often we neglect these things because we don't often believe that they're that important, or we don't often believe that we're important enough to take time out to do them. So think about, what are you doing in your life? So there's an activity that I would sometimes do in courses like this or sessions like this, is planning that out, reviewing what you're doing now, looking at your week. What have I done for my body care? What have I achieved? What have I done with connecting with others? And what have I done for enjoyment? And where there are gaps, you start to look at, how can I make some changes? What can I do? What can I add into my life? A really good tool that I like to use is a cognitive behavioural approach. And you said at the very start, Henry, what you think about is what you bring about. And so when we think about the way in which we are reacting to the world around us, the link between our thoughts, our feelings and our behaviours is hugely important. So when something's happening, when you're feeling quite stressed, if you stop and you just take a breath. So I want you to take a few breaths, a few belly breaths, and that starts to slow that limbic system down, that fear response, which then allows us to start observing what's going on, what is happening right now. I'm not being chased by a lion. That cat isn't huge. You know, across the street. So we can observe what's going on. We can start to think about putting things into perspective. We can start to think a bit more clearly because we're not sitting in that panic response. We can plan what we're going to do next. Okay, I'm going to cross the road and I'm going to go nowhere near the cat, or I'm going to freeze. You know, you can start to make decisions, and then you can go ahead. So I love the stop technique, and there's some really good videos on that online if you wish to look on YouTube for stop. And then I don't know if we've got time to do this, and I think maybe, I don't know if the doctor is going to do some more on grounding and relaxation. So this is a really good technique that I love to use. It's very simple to remember. 5 things that you do, 4 things that you can, 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And you can get this technique. It's a grounding technique. So we always start by slowing things down, 3 slow belly breaths. So imagining, you know, you're taking big breaths, you've got a balloon in your tummy, you're filling it up, and then you slowly release it again. And then we ask you to think about, what are 5 things you can see right now? What are 4 things you can touch? Just stop there and touch. 3 things that you can hear, and just really try and immerse yourself in that environment. 2 things that you can smell right now, and 1 thing that you could perhaps taste. And then take another 3 belly breaths, and that's a really easy, simple grounding technique that I find works very effectively when you're feeling quite overwhelmed. And that is my presentation.
Thank you, Morag Omiston, for that insightful presentation. We will be, because of the brevity of our time, we will be going straight to the next thing on the program, which is a musical interlude. But I would just like to highlight a couple of things that Morag said about food. I like food so much, and recently I've had to change my diet, you know, because food is equally important. What you eat is important. She also mentioned the fight or flight syndrome, which is a very important aspect of our presentation as well. And I am of the opinion that what you tolerate, you lose the power to change. So it's important to prevent what you do not want to have. Okay. Because prevention is better than cure. Permit me also to quote again Fred Rogers. He said that anything that is human is mentionable, and anything that is mentionable can be more manageable. When we talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, less upsetting, and less scary. Take care and control of your thoughts, because your thoughts create your reality. What you think about, you bring about. Having said that, I want to introduce a songwriter, a blogger, and a musical sensation there in Aberdeen. Please join me to welcome, she's also a pastor, join me to welcome NG the Great for a brief musical rendition. God bless you. I'll see you after that. NG the Great, take it away.
Unmute yourself, NG, please.
Okay. Or do we go straight to the next speaker, or do we have the musical break?
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Do we have the musical break, or we welcome the next speaker?
Yeah.
Please confirm.
Yeah, we are having it now.
Okay, proceed. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for having me here. And the song is titled Love You Right Back by Angel Dagrid. And I hope you love it. I'm going to sing over a soundtrack. And I hope you stay blessed. I'm a singer-songwriter and a gospel artist and an author and a blogger. I just want to thank Ify and every team here for having me here. And most importantly, I just want to thank God for his mercy and his love. And I hope you enjoy the song. Yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you. Just will love you, Lord. Oh, if you know the song, just join me. Will love you, my King. Will love you, my King. Will love you, my King. Come on, yes, will love you, will love you, will love you, will love you, Lord, will love you, will love you, will love you, Lord. Put your hands up, put your hands up. Put your hands up to the King. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Put your hands up to the Lord. Hey, great, 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 great. That's your name. Come on, sing. Put your hands up. Yeah, yeah. Put your hands up to the Lord. Yeah. Well, I belong. I sung up deliverance. I sung up deliverance. You're my jam, better jam. You can do anything. God can do anything. He can do anything. Come on, sing. Will love you, will love you, will love you, will love you, Lord. Will love you, will love you, will love you, will love you. You're the King of our kings. You're the Lord of lords. You're the jam, better jam. You can do anything. God can do anything. He can do anything. Come on, sing. Will love you, will love you, will love you, will love you, Lord. Will love you, will love you, will love you, Lord. Yeah. Put your hands together. Come on. Will love you, will love you. Yes, will love you. Yes, will love you. Yes, will love you. Will love you. Cause we'll love you, Lord. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Put your hands up to the King. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Put your hands up to the Lord. Come on. Great, 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 great. That's your name, oh, great, 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 great. That's your name. Come on, sing. Put your hands up, yeah, yeah. Put your hands up to the Lord, yeah. Well, I belong. I sung after that. Hey, just will love you, will love you, will love you, will love you, Lord, will love you, will love you, will love you, will love you. We, yeah, we, yeah, we, yeah, we. Come on, put your hands up, yeah, yeah. Put your hands up to the Lord. Great, 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 great. That's your name. Come and sing, hey, yeah. Oh, come on, just we, hey. Cause we love you, Lord. Thank you all for listening. Love you right back. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Angie the Great. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for that beautiful freestyle. We love it. Thank you. We love it, and we appreciate all the fact that you could join us, you could sing to us. Thank you. The Lord continue to bless you. The Lord continue to increase your giftings in Jesus' name. Remember, folks, that in the end we shall be having a question and answer session. Let's make it engaging and interactive. And having said that, I would like to call on our next speaker for today. He is a compassionate medical practitioner and an inspirational speaker. He is a medical doctor, obviously. He is a professional in maternal and child epidemiology, and a consultant and the founder of Snow Spirations Health. Please join me with joy and excitement as we welcome my brother from another mother, Dr. Chudi Ofondo. Put your hands together for him.
Hello. I'm so glad we started on a very high note, and I'm so glad we all made it. I want to thank the performer, NG the Great, and I also want to thank Morad and Elo. I want to thank you. And I also want to thank Ifi. What happened today, it's a kind of a testament of what we're actually talking about in mental health. You see, our world is broken. And sometimes when you act in the moment, you will lose the essence of what we normally gather for. So today we're talking about mental health, and we got hacked, and you can see how we handled it. This is the world we are living in right now. So there are so many broken people out there. So the people that obviously woke up today and wanted to destroy what we are doing to help the youths, that's the reason why we gathered. So I thank God for giving us the insight, the wisdom to intervene. So long as you're in the world, you're going to meet such people. You're going to meet such challenges, but we'll keep overcoming. Now, it gladdens my heart to be part of this August event for Face Youth. Face Youth is an organization I'm actually part of, and I'm so happy we're talking about this very important topic. Morad already did a great job in regards to talking about stress. You know, the funny thing about mental health is the fact that they are not like isolated, they are all intertwined. So most people that have stress might end up having depression, might end up having anxiety. So we have two-pronged approach to today's presentation. And remember, we're talking about youths, and youths will eventually become adults. Okay, so it's a very important topic. So if you have any teenager at home, a youth, and probably you can't really place what's going on in their life, this is an opportunity to invite them. Our group is all welcoming. So I want you to invite your daughters, your sons, once they're of age, let them listen to what we're gonna present today. And after this, I'm gonna make my draft available so you can flow through the whole chart. Now, it's important to understand that when we show our humanity, we can crumble any challenges. But when we show the other side of humanity, then we begin to create storm in a teacup. Now, the fact remains that anxiety is out there. So I'm going to talk about anxiety in youths, in young adults. Now, here's the deal. In our world today, anxiety is normal. It's a normal emotions. Like prior to this presentation, I woke up, I was very anxious to make sure I have my slides and everything ready. We had a mini meeting before we started. We were all nervous, you know, adrenaline is up, cortisol is up, our heartbeat was going up. And when we started, we wanted to make sure that everybody is good. If he was coordinating a lot of things, Elo was coordinating a lot of things, that's anxiety, is expected. Without anxiety, you won't be breathing. Anxiety is what wakes you up in the morning. Anxiety is what makes your heart to be beating. Anxiety is what makes you to complete your task. So we all are beings of anxiety. So it's a normal reaction that helps everyone to deal with stress of everyday life. Life is stressful. You can't escape it. We are all caught up in this mess called life. But when you understand the mechanisms as an adult, you can mitigate the bad effects of anxiety. But guess what? We're talking about youths. Most adults can handle anxiety properly, but most youths will be overwhelmed. Okay, so we're talking about anxiety. And in everything, we have to give thanks. In everything, we have to count it all joy. So what is actually happening today is part of what we're talking about today. It's created a lot of anxiety. Our blood pressure is up. We are angry. We are pissed. It's all part of life. So take a deep breath and breathe in, some fresh air, and be calm, okay? Whatever happens today will happen every single day. So we're talking about anxiety in adults. Adults can pretty much handle anxiety. That's their problem. Though, to an extent, when it gets overwhelming, then it becomes a problem. But we're talking about our youths. We're talking about our teenagers. We're talking about kids. Kids can also have anxiety problems. So, for example, a student definitely will be anxious about studying properly. Growing up, if you're in school, in my home, if you don't come back with first position, you're in trouble. So that created a lot of anxiety. So what was the end product of that anxiety? I made sure that I will always come first. Even when we have another person that came first and I came first, it created a lot of anxiety in me, but it was a good anxiety. It helped me to focus on my study, make sure I come back with good grades. So students can have anxiety about studying hard for difficult exams, and they can also have anxiety about performing in some sporting event. They are all helpful anxiety. However, when one's feeling of anxiety becomes chronic, chronicity means it's been there for 6 months up, or it becomes uncontrollable. Like we can all get angry within few minutes and we can all let it go and we can all be okay. But if anxiety is going overboard, 6 months uncontrollable, and there is no particular root cause, or there is no meaning, we can have a trajectory of how it started, then it becomes a true problem. And this is exactly where we have a problem with our youths, because our youths are confused. They're trying to try their hands on a couple of things. They're overloaded. They have a lot of workload. They're in social media. They're comparing themselves with a lot of people. All these things can create a lot of anxiety. And some of them have started forming their relationship. Some of them are meeting people they like. Some of them are falling in love. And this can create a lot of anxiety. So we're talking about the anxiety in youth. Now, deceptively, while anxiety like depression, it's often thought as adult problem. Teenagers and young adults may also worry about everything from school, fitting in with their peers, getting along with the family members, and their own personal shortcomings. So these are all portals that can create problem among youths. Now, shockingly, in America, I reside in America, anxiety disorder are the commonest mental health problem in the US, affecting 19.5% of the population every single year. So think about that. That's approximately 20%. That means in every household, we have someone suffering from anxiety disorder. Unfortunately, in African setting, most people that have anxiety problem will be spiritualized. They will rather send the child to the church or let's pray about it. We have to learn how to separate spirituality from our problems. Mental health is exactly the same thing with your physical health. When you have a spiritual problems, you can deal with it in that spiritual realm. So we should not be mixing up things when our kids are exhibiting some symptoms. We should not spiritualize it. We should not lump everything on God's feet. God is there watching us to take our own actions. Okay, so in America, it's really, really a very big problem, 19%. Now, statistically, 25.1% of children between 13 and 18. This is actually the bulk of where we have our teenagers and youths. So if you have a daughter, if you have a son, 13 up to 18, this is the bulk of the population, of the statistic, of the demographics where we have the biggest burden of anxiety. And it's a no-brainer because this is about the time they engage in so many things. They are going through a lot of transition. They are going through puberty. They are discovering their identity. They are discovering what they want to be in life. So it's not uncommon to notice this. So it's actually commoner among youth. And if you are not struggling with depression, if you are not struggling with stress, if you are not struggling with anxiety, guess what? Someone you know definitely is struggling about this at this time. So if we take a head count of the people in attendance today, it's possible you're depressed. It's possible you don't even know you're depressed. It's possible you have anxiety problem. It's possible you haven't slept. It's possible you're stressed. You don't have money. You don't have a good relationship. It's January. You're struggling with a lot of things. It's possible you don't even know that's what you have. It's possible you're going the wrong route. So when you don't have it, someone you know might have it. It might be your husband, it might be your wife, it might be your kid, it might be your father, it might be your mother. It can be anybody. Anybody can go through mental health problem. So the moment we understand this, then we can begin to fine-tune our solutions so that our youths will not make the mistakes we made. Growing up, the concept of mental health was completely non-existent. Everything is all blamed on people in the village, evil spirit, and God is trying to punish us. That's not the reality of the time we live in now. So anxiety in teenagers, in young adults, is a mental health problem. And most times it goes undiagnosed or unnoticed. Now, I'm going to mention the symptoms you have to be on the lookout for in your youth, in your teenagers, even in your kids. I'm going to take time and mention them. Please take note of the symptoms I'm going to mention. Very, very important. If you suddenly notice that your kid, your daughter, your son is suddenly now having excessive fear or anxiety about the things they used to feel comfortable with, suddenly they are so anxious, they are so fearful to go to their room, to go to school, to go and meet their friends. That's one of the signs you have to look out for. That's one of the symptoms of anxiety in youth. Excessive worry about school, about their friends, about their peers, about extracurricular activity, things previously they can comfortably take care of. Constant concern, worry about safety for self and safety of family members. Irritability. Your daughter, your son will wake up in the morning and is completely moody, is completely irritable. No matter what you do to make her happy or him happy, he is not happy. You buy stuff, you do stuff, you promise heaven and earth, they are still irritable. That might be a sign or symptom that your child might be having anxiety disorder. Displaying clingy behavior with parents and family members. So your independent daughter, your independent son suddenly wants to sleep in your room, suddenly is craving for your attention, suddenly is just afraid to be by himself or herself. That might be a sign or symptom that they might have anxiety disorder. Fear of staying the night away from one's home, inability to relax. There are some kids, there are some teenagers that can never relax. Some of them do not sleep. Some of them stay up the whole night. And when you stay up the whole night when you're supposed to be sleeping, what will you do next? You go and do the stuff you're not supposed to do, because there are so many other troubled kids out there. Just like the kid that is trying to, hack our event today. He's a troubled kid. What he needs is love. So inability to relax, inability to concentrate, unexpected shortness of breath. Suddenly you're gasping for breath. You feel like you can't really breathe, you're hyperventilating, you're sweating, you're just generally not yourself. That might be a sign and a symptom that your youth might have anxiety disorder. Becoming easily startled and alarmed. Complaints of physical illness. So sometimes anxiety can present with stomach ache, headache, muscle ache, tension. You pop your paracetamol, you pop your ibuprofen, but it's still there. It's not the cramp, it's not the regular things we are used to. This can all be health manifestation of anxiety disorder if it's not properly diagnosed. Trouble sleeping. So many youths are having insomnia. And guess what? When they do a couple of other things to cope, some of them might take to alcohol, some of them might take to smoking, some of them might take to drugs, it makes it worse. When you don't sleep in the night, what's the next thing you want to do? They can take coffee, they can take alcohol, they can smoke, they can catch up with their friends. And when they do all this, it's gonna further make them to make bad decisions. And once one bad decision is made, it goes down the drain. Avoiding and refusing to go to school. The moment you're a teenager, I know growing up, I didn't like school. I felt my mom didn't really love me because my mom taught me from primary school. So when other kids are playing football, I'm studying. I have to be the best. I didn't like school. Over time, I saw the need. So if you're a teenager, if you're a youth who previously used to perform perfectly, excellently, he or she comes back home and she gives you a good report, suddenly, she's no longer interested in going to school. He's no longer interested in going to school. When you tell her to go to school, or when you assume she's going to school, she's not going to school, she's going elsewhere, then the performance begins to dwindle. There's a problem. It might be anxiety. It's about time we start talking about it. Now, when they go through excessive lethargy and fatigue, in a normal developing youth suddenly is excessively fatigued and is complaining of ill health, which when we take the child to the hospital, we can't really find what the problem is. That might be a sign that your kid might have what? Anxiety disorder. Now, what's the problem with anxiety among youths? Like the signs of depression, signs of anxiety in teenagers and youths can often go unlooked because some of them are normal things. Like I told you guys, we're adults. So there are so many things going on in my head right now as I'm talking to you guys. Hello, I'm sure there are so many things going on in your mind. If you're multitasking, there are so many things we go through every single day, but we can handle it. So the problem is thinking that we adults can handle things and we expect that the youths can handle it the same way. That's a big problem. Assumptions. In medical practice, assumptions can be deadly. So because we feel it's abnormal, someone else's normal might be some other person's abnormal. So do not normalize what you don't understand. If you're in doubt, go for counseling. Go for specific consultation with a professional. Thankfully, we have so many professionals in mental health that can walk you through. But if you don't communicate it, if you think it's not a problem, if you spiritualize it, if you go a different route, then it begins to pile up. If you have reviewed all the signs and symptoms of anxiety, I mentioned, and you suspect that your child might be having this, don't just stay by yourself and say, oh, my child has anxiety disorder. It's not for you to make the diagnosis. There are so many other things that can present with the symptoms I mentioned. So it's not for you to sit back home and diagnose or call your child, he's depressed, she's depressed, she has anxiety, she's stressing. Don't make that conclusion. Just take note of the developments, then go seek help. If it goes beyond the normal, if the concerns, if everything I mentioned, you've seen it repeatedly, especially don't allow it to get to 6 months. Once any problem gets to 6 months in medical practice, it becomes chronic. Any problem that goes into the chronic phase, it's like a rolling stone. It's like a rocking chair. It keeps coming off, it waxes, it wanes. So timeliness in diagnosing this is very important. If we can nip anything at the acute phase, we can prevent it from being a problem on the long run. So once you notice any of these symptoms, seek help. Consult a mental health professional, consult a doctor, go to the pediatrician, go to the gynecologist. There are so many other things that might be happening to them, which might not be anxiety related. So the best thing to do is to seek help. The symptoms may indicate that your child might be struggling with anxiety disorder. It's our duty to help them. Now, you don't necessarily need to be the parent to notice this. You might be an uncle, you might be an auntie, you might be a friend of the family, but once you notice this, you discuss it appropriately. Now, what about the management of anxiety disorder among teenagers, among adults? There are a couple of things you need to understand. No two individuals can be the same. So while every individual is different, your son, your daughter's treatment will depend on some factors, unique factors. So there is no one size fits all for everybody. So we need to look at his or her overall physical health and medical history. If you notice in my organization, I ask a lot of questions. If you're under me, I'll ask you about 27 questions. When I'm asking you all those questions, I'm developing my theory, I'm tying things together. So the fact your son, your daughter has any of the symptoms I mentioned doesn't mean the treatment is gonna be the same for everybody. There is no one size fits all. Mental health is a customized discipline. What might happen to Ngozi might not happen to Nkechi. They might have entirely different spectrum. They might have entirely different family and social history. They might have entirely different medical history, different surgical history, different gynecological history. So it depends on that individual's physical and medical health. It also depends on his or her own diagnosis, whether he or she is having anxiety, whether he or she is having depression or both. Now, unfortunately, when youth develop one medical problem, one mental health problem, they all go in line. So depression and anxiety are brothers and sisters. Most kids that have depression will have anxiety, and it doesn't happen overnight. So it's the ability to get the appropriate diagnosis. Now, age is very important. We need to know the age of this kid. We need to also make sure that the treatment we are going to use will be applicable and be age specific. We need to know the extent of the symptoms he or she is displaying. We also need to know if she's reacting to different medications. Some people have allergies, some people have severe adverse effects or side effect on a couple of medications, because in managing anxiety, there might be a need to use some medication. Now, we also need to walk through her reaction to therapy. So when we are talking about anxiety, it's not an isolated thing. We have to involve the kid. We have to involve every member of the family. There's a provision for family therapy. So it's not something you come and you impose it on your kid. It doesn't work that way. If you do that, you're making the worst mistake in your life. So you also have to look at personal preference. So when we have tied all these things together, what will you prefer as a caregiver, as a mother, as a father? What do you think will fit into your own family? No two families can be the same. So what might work for a particular family might not work for you. But always go through due process. When you go through due process, you're not going to make mistakes. So treatments can be in form of medication. It can also be in form of individual therapy, and it can also be in form of family therapy. So these are the three-pronged approach to treatment and management of disorder, anxiety disorder in youths. Medications, if it's indicated, individual therapy and family therapy, they are all important. Now, I'm gonna go to the different individual ways to deal with anxiety for youths, and they are practicable tips. If you don't know, when you go home and practice this, you will see a huge difference in your youth. Now, the first one, we have to encourage the youth to become relaxation expert. You see, it's very easy to think we all know how to relax, right? You're watching soccer, you're watching movie, and you think you're relaxing. Guess what? Sometimes it can aggravate things. So we all think we know how to relax. But chilling in front of a TV or computer isn't necessarily relaxation. It might be making it worse. So depending on what you're watching or what you're doing, it can actually make it more, it can actually make it worse. So we have to be methodical. The same is true for alcohol. So many used to take to alcohol, take to drugs, take to tobacco, temporarily to mask that symptom, to derive temporal happiness. But it's not just enough. They may seem to have relieved your anxiety, your stress, but it's a false state of relaxation because it's what? Temporal. We are not looking for temporal. We are looking for a long-term thing. So what your body needs is daily practice of relaxation techniques like deep breathing. We were all pissed off with the people that wanted to hijack the group. But when you take a deep breathing, it works like magic. So you can think about going for deep breathing, you can do yoga, you can go for walk, you can swim, you can talk to people. There are some people you can talk to. Talk therapy is amazing. There are some people you can talk to, they can dig you out from suicide mission back to life. These are their discipline. When you yield, when you let go and you allow people that know better to help you, they can walk you back to life. So let's focus on helping them be what? Relaxation experts. It's not something you do just one day and you become an expert. It's a practice. It's a journey. It's not a destination. So for example, deep breathing can help you to relax your major nerves that runs through your diaphragm, through your brain, make sure your blood is circulating properly, and sending a message to the entire body to let go and loosen up just by breathing. Sometimes you just need to breathe. Sometimes you just need to pause, just like you're watching a movie and you put a pause, you pause and you breathe. Breathing is enough. Breathing is therapeutic. So that's the very first practical tip you can use with your teenager. Now, number 2, sleep. Oh my goodness. You see sleep? Sleep is one of the biggest medicine given by God, free of charge. So many youths are not sleeping. The fact they are not sleeping is an independent factor that can create a lot of anxieties. Because when you are sleeping, when you are getting adequate sleep, your body will be in a restful mode, your hormones will function properly, their brains will be clear, they will go to school, you will teach them, and they will understand. Because our kids are juggling a lot of things. They are thinking about their boyfriend, they are thinking about their girlfriend, they are thinking about the fashion, they are thinking about being accepted, they are thinking about so many things. And at the end of the day, they have to think about school. But when you sleep and when you nourish yourself and when you exercise, you are helping yourself to function properly. You want your mind and body to be peaceful and strong to handle the ups and downs in life. The only moment you will stop existing is when you go down 6 feet. So long as you wake up in this world, you will definitely have ups and downs. The only people that don't have problems in life are the dead and gone people. So long as you're in this world, you're going to have ups, you're going to have down. Nobody has only had it up. We all go up, we all come down. That's what life is all about. So when you go through sleep and you nourish yourself and you exercise, it works like magic. So getting the right amount of sleep, not too much, not too little, eating well, choosing your fruits and vegetables, lean protein, whole grains. Lately, kids are eating a lot of junks, ice cream, pizza, and all those stuff. Any highly processed foods you eat outside will make your anxiety or depression worse. What they can eat from home can help them. You see your fruits, you see your vegetables, you see your lean protein, you see water. They are all natural helpers. You can't go wrong with them. So it's important to make this as part of the family meal. It will help a lot. Exercise, amazing. When you are exercising, you're spreading oxygen to every cell in your brain, every cell in your body, and you function properly. Why do you think when you exercise and sweat, you feel good? Because you're releasing a feel-good hormone we call endorphins. And when you release a feel-good hormone we call endorphins, nothing matters. But when a kid wakes up in the morning with her phone in the bed, to the couch, she eats, she's staying in one place, what's going to happen? She's piling up. She's an explosion that can happen anytime. Sitting is the new smoking. So get up. Let them do some domestic chores. Let them go for a walk. You guys can make it a family tradition. You guys can go for a family walk. Whichever one that works, please get enough sleep. Nourish your body, exercise. Now, connection, amazing. You cannot live in isolation in our world. Are you kidding me? Connect with others, but connect with the right people. Only quality people. Some people you will connect with will aggravate the situation and make it worse. So this is where they need to be very smart. They need to be very wise. You need to build up their confidence. They need to understand that they are good enough. They need to understand that there is no room for comparisons, but they need to connect to people. So spend time with your friends, spend time with the family, organize activities, hang out together, do things with people you feel you're close to. When you do things together, it deepens the bond. It allows you to feel supported and secure. And it's fun to share and let go and feel happy and feel less upset. Whatever problems you're having in your family, you talk about it. If it's academic work, you talk about it. If you need help, you talk about it. Lately, my daughter, she's just 11, the assignments they give them when she comes back is too much for me. So things are changing. So if it's too much for me, how much more her? So she might not be her best person, and you will think she's doing okay, and you will expect her to do much. But if she doesn't communicate, if you don't come in to help her, it's going to overwhelm her, because whether she likes it or not, the word has to move. So we need to spend time and connect with each other. If you feel worried or nervous about something, talk about it with people that will listen. Lately, people don't listen. People only hear and judge you. Before you've already told somebody something, they've already blamed you, they've already concluded that you're the problem. Talk to only the people that can listen. We no longer listen. We don't listen to our spouse, we don't listen to our parents, we don't listen to our friends. The only people we listen to ourselves. That's not good. So you have to talk to people that listen, people that care about you, people that can help you, people that can understand you. Anybody can break down. Anybody can have anxiety. Anybody can have depression. Unfortunately, this is a problem that is highly stigmatized, especially in Africa. Once a year you have depression, or you have anxiety, or you have suicidal ideation. Let me tell you, anybody can have suicidal ideation. Even if you have the whole world in your pocket, your body can suddenly switch and you can think of killing yourself. Anybody. So don't think that those people that are developing those things did something wrong. It can happen to anybody. This is where we need to step up. And that's why we are committed to keep talking about this until we get everybody on board. So be reminded that people also have the same feeling you're having. You are not alone. So a problem talked about is a problem solved. Now you have to connect with nature. Are you kidding me? Go to the lakes, go to the woods, go on hike, ride your bicycle, just go out. Sometimes you need to just go out. The more you stay indoors, the more you're creating a lot of problems. Now, depending on the region where you live, during the winter, we tend to have an increase in the incidence and the prevalence of mental health problems because of the environment. So the colder the environment is, the more people are prone to develop mental health problems. So go out and connect with nature. Choose somewhere you feel safe. So if you're going to go to the woods, make sure it's a safe place. So somewhere you can go to relax and enjoy the environment. I normally go to the woods, I walk, I feel the nature, I go to the lakes. You know, when you spend a moment in nature, you see that our world is a beautiful place. But we are the people that destroyed our world. So walk, hike, you know, bike, you know, do whatever you can do outside, out there, it helps. Invite a friend, 2 or family members, and along and go out there and connect and enjoy each other's company. Now, this is the power of your mind. Everything happens in the mind. Our mind is the biggest weapon. So you have to pay attention to good things. Think good thoughts. Everything happens in your mind. Let me tell you, life is all about choice. We cannot control our challenges. We cannot choose our challenges, but we can choose how we can react to our challenges. So pay attention to good things. A great way to deal with our mind is to track and focus our thoughts. You can actually control your thoughts. It's a choice. When you focus on beautiful things and positive things, believe me, the universe has a way of, you know, going in the same direction with you. But when you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about negative things. The people you have in social media, your father, your mother, your sister, you guys are all negative. What's going to happen? They will drag you down. The people you hang around matters. Vibe with your tribe and tribe with your vibe. If they are not your tribe, if they are not your vibe, don't go there. This works like magic. Appreciate the small, little, everyday blessing. Life is good. Allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to imagine. Allow yourself to wish. Think about the best things that can happen to you. And there is no other time to talk about this better than January. So I don't care what you're going through as a youth. Guess what? Everything ends. If you understand this, then you can understand everything. So in conclusion, while anxiety is often overlooked in teenagers and young adults, research actually shows that recognizing the signs early and getting your child early treatment are the best way. So it's time you go back to your family and you begin to pay attention. Unfortunately, men are outside pursuing money, pursuing whatever they're pursuing. They don't even know what's going on in their home. They think that their beautiful daughter, their handsome sons are doing okay. Meanwhile, they are broken. Your beautiful daughter can be depressed. Your beautiful daughter can have anxiety. And you don't even know because you don't pay attention. It's time we go back to the family. If we want our world to be a better place, you better go back to your family and you begin to pay attention. You spend time with them, especially during the weekends. I don't compromise my time with my kids during the weekends because that's the only thing I have. And they grow so fast. The moment you blink, they're all adults. And once you miss that, you miss that. Okay, so recognize the signs. Don't feel, oh, my daughter is the best, because some people are very good in, you know, shouldering their people, thinking your daughter is the best. The best daughter out there can be tempted to go through things they're not supposed to go through. So while no parent wants to send their child away, sometimes doing the right thing isn't always the easy thing. So if your child needs help, send your child to a professional. In order to provide help for your child's anxiety, it's important to select a treatment program that is repeatable, credible, effective in addressing the individual issues. So when anxiety and worry feels extreme, it might be a sign of anxiety disorder. For someone who has anxiety disorder, getting proper care from a professional is very important. So the tips can help you too, but professional treatment is the only way to shake off anxiety disorder. Thank you guys, and I hope I blessed somebody today. Thank you so much. Hello, over to you, please.
I was trying to unmute myself. For some reason, I was unable to unmute myself.
Yeah, sorry, because we took the admin from you.
Very elaborate presentation from Dr. Chudi Ufondo. Of course, you can reach him on his Facebook or Instagram handle. It's Snowspirations Health, at Snow Spirations Health. I like some of the things that he spoke about, and let me just highlight a few. He talks about stress or anxiety being true to life, you know, and even in the Bible, you know, the Bible highlights the same issue. It says that in the world, there are bound to be tribulations. You know, challenges are true to life. Challenges are true to life. Then, because of time, let me just highlight some of the red flags that the doctor mentioned. He mentioned about excessive fear in the youth and in the kids, worrying, you know, irritability, clingy behavior, inability to relax, inability to breathe, you know, easily startled or alarmed, you know, avoiding or refusing to go to school, and fatigue. When you notice these red flags, you know that, you know, your child is already going through stuff. And I believe that, you know, the pandemic has, you know, brought this, a lot of things that's changed. It's brought a new normal, you know, that we have to deal with as individuals, not and as parents as well. So look out for these red flags, you know, like that. The doctor also says that do not normalize what you do not understand. Always speak out. Make sure you are speaking to somebody, because information, a problem that is shared is a problem that is half solved. And some of the solutions that the doctor also highlighted includes encourage relaxation. Personally, I have had to stop watching Arsenal games because they give me heart palpitation. I cannot stand Arsenal losing because Arsenal is my team, you know. So I struck it off from my to-do. Anytime Arsenal has a game, I watch something else. Okay. One other solution is deep breathing, and the one that I like so much is about agreement and connection. You know, the Bible says in Matthew chapter 18, in the 19th verse, it says that if two of us shall agree as touching anything that we should ask, that God will do it. It shall be done by our Father who is in heaven. So when you agree, when you touch and connect with people, you know, you are able to alleviate the situation, the problem. All right. So sleep is equally an important thing that God has given us. It's a natural remedy, like the doctor said. Sleep is a natural remedy. And I would leave you with this point. What you focus on, you magnify. And what you magnify, you manifest. Take heed of what you focus on. Because if you focus on something, you make it big. You know, find grace to think about good things. Like the scripture I read in the beginning, Philippians chapter 4 in the 8th verse. Think good thoughts, whatever things are noble and pure and pleasant and admirable. Think on those things. Guess what? The Bible also says that as a man thinketh. Almost everything, even at the doctors and the therapists are talking about, they are in the Bible. They are biblical. There are principles that we practice that have predictable outcomes. So find grace to practice those things, because as a man thinketh in their hearts, so they are. Very shortly, we will proceed to the next thing on the menu, which is question and answers. Questions, interactive question and answers. And I believe that our admin are collating the questions as we speak.
Correct.
I believe that we are collating the questions.
Yeah, let's quickly get to Q&A so that we won't be stretched. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna start by asking a personal question. I'm gonna start by asking a personal question while the admin goes through the other ones. I want to ask a question. You said, doctor, I know you said that anxiety is true to life. It's a part of our reality. But personally, why do I feel so anxious during my public speaking engagements? You know, and sometimes I feel so anxious. I'm prepared. I have my points. You know, I am led of the Spirit. God has spoken to me. I have the right words. But it's like once I step up on the podium, I get so excited. Apart from the excitement of nerve, you know, and butterflies, I get so excited. Sometimes the excitement leads me to forget my points very succinct and important points of my speech. Why is that, doctor? Why is that?
Okay.
Is it natural?
Okay, can you all hear me? Yeah, hello, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay,
yes,
awesome.
Sir.
So, hello, you don't walk alone. You're not alone on this boulevard. I'll tell you this. The fact you have that anxiety, it's your own individually wired mechanism of coping. You see, life is all about the F's. The fear, the fright, the fight, the flee reactions. If you're a very organized person, if you want to dot your T's and make sure that everything is perfect, if it's not perfect, you'll freak out. Now, it's a composition of so many things all in one pack. Public appearance, some people are extroverted, some people are introverted, some people are so good in it. Even me, I struggle sometimes, but guess what? When you believe in yourself, when you know your worth, when you're confident, initially you're going to have butterflies. It's just the same butterflies you had when you had your first kiss, when you met your first girlfriend. It's the same butterfly. It's the same adrenaline. It's the same cortisol. So it shows you that you are alive. But the ability to control, the keyword is control, the ability to control and tame that tempest and still go out there on the stage and deliver is what matters. And this is where our youths are lacking. So it's more like a rolling stone. Like that moment, you can actually feel that when you're watching. I'm actually an Arsenal fan. And for some reason, I've been so busy lately. But when I watch, my palms are sweating, I'm palpitating, I'm not in a good place. So it's a natural thing. It's a coping defensive mechanism of your body, of your heart. So if you notice, the same time you're having all those anxiety, you can feel that your heart is actually in your mouth. It's all a way of protecting your body. Now, it becomes excessive if it's stopping you from your activities of daily life. That's when you begin to seek help. So it can go out of normal range and it can become a problem. So if your anxiety of going to the stage is based on organic things in your own body mechanisms, we can ask you questions, do some therapy, and we can come up with what might be leading to that. So you might not necessarily need to take any medication, but sometimes it might also have some medical undertones. So sometimes it might be due to some organic medical problems we need to fix. But the key word is to know when to seek help. Like the conversation we're having right now is actually therapeutic. So by the time you understand where I'm coming from and understand where you're coming from, you can go home and you discover that the next time you come on stage, you're pretty good. Now, everything is all about your mind. So when something happens like what you said, if you allow it, it becomes your normal. If you manifest it, it becomes your manifestation. But if when all those things are surging up and you say, stop, peace, be still. Believe me, there's a lot of power in positive thinking. If you can do this, you don't need any medication. So you are alive, you don't walk alone, it's completely 100% okay. Please, can we all unmute all presenters? Hello, you're still on mute.
They keep muting me. Thank you very much, sir. Do we have our questions ready now? Admin, do we have our questions? May I also mention, I want to go through the prerequisites for the raffle draw in the end. Let me just highlight the prerequisites for the raffle draw later in the end. It says that you must be among the first 100 guests. Number 2, you have to log in or have logged in before 4:10 p.m. West African time. Number 3, no login, log out. You have to stay till the end of the online seminar. And finally, drop your phone number in the chat box. Those are the prerequisites for our raffle or the prize in the end. Let me go through it again. You must be among the first 100 guests. You have to log in before or have logged in before 4:10 p.m. West African time. No login and login, log out, syndrome. You have to stay till the end of the online seminar. And finally, drop your phone numbers in the chat box. All right, admin, we're still waiting for the question, or should we go to our musical interlude? In the famous opening line from Shakespeare's comedy Twelfth Night, it says, and I quote, "If music be the food of love, play on." So I am going to, while we collect our questions, I'm going to invite our music guest, Angie the Great. Take it away, Angie the Great. God bless you.
Before we go there.
All right.
Yeah.
Morag has something to say.
Yeah, can I just make a point to yourself, Henry, and follow up from what the doctor was saying? You know,
yes,
first and foremost, you know, one of the things that we'd be looking at, you know, from a therapeutic perspective, we'd be looking at that fear, and looking at, you know, building up that kind of understanding what that fear is about. We would then be looking at exposing you to, you know, that fear, so that fear then reduces the more and more you present. And I would also be saying that we would be looking to get some feedback, so for you to get that positive understanding from others. And I'd like to give that feedback to you to say that I didn't notice any of that stuttering. I didn't notice any of that disconnection that you talked about. The fact you came across very clear, very precise, and I want you to take that on board.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
The battle is in the inside, so it's possible the battle was raging on the inside, but he was able to tame the storm.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah. Someone messaged me, Mara, to ask you, how do you know when to seek help regarding anxiety? Because, you know, we all say we all have anxiety. It's part of life. Mm-hmm. So when do you actually know that you need to seek help? Because, you know, most of our people, stigma and lack of understanding are two major barriers that stop people from seeking help regarding mental health. Mm-hmm. So what is the trigger? Like, when do you know to seek help regarding anxiety?
I think that's a very individual, looking at, you know, again, what the doctor said, that it's all a very individual thing. But when it becomes excessive, when it starts to impact your daily life and you're overthinking it, you're losing sleep, you're starting to notice diet changes, or you're starting to notice, you know, you're withdrawing from relationships, you know, there's lots of triggers that you'd be looking for to say something's different about me and this is impacting my daily life on a longer term. So the chronic stress is what we're looking at, the chronic anxiety, when it's gone beyond that daily or instant sort of presentation, or, you know, nervousness about your child's health, or, you know, one-off things. It's when it's starting to impact your daily life. And so for me, like, I would notice maybe a bit of tension in my shoulders, that I'm not active as much as I would normally be. I would start to eat differently, so maybe drinking more alcohol. And then so for me, I'm very aware of those things, and then go, hang on a minute, what's happening to my life right now that I'm starting to take part in differences in my daily life? You know, I'm starting to kind of work more, or so that's when you start to notice. And that's the bit when you have the ability to actively change those bases, those lifestyles, like both of us have spoken about, before it starts to get impactful into your health. So yeah, knowing, and that's why I put up that that log. If you know what your normal routine is, then you can start to notice the changes and think, hang on a minute, I'm not eating the same, or I'm not sleeping very well. So those kind of tracking systems are really helpful. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, perfectly. Let me come in there. So everything is all individualized. No two people can present with anxiety the same way. No two people can reach their breaking point. So it's all about knowing your normal. Your normal is your normal. You know when you overstretch. You know how long you haven't been sleeping. You know how long you haven't been happy. You know exactly what's going on in your body. But I will say this, the earlier you present to a professional, the better. It's better you present to a professional and a professional will tell you, oh, it's too early, don't worry, go home, than to assume that, you know, you know what you're doing, because most people present when it's already late. Once your anxiety, your depression becomes chronic, that's where the problem starts. Most of the anxiety, depression, stress, we can manage them without giving you medications. But the moment we resort to giving you medications, it means the natural approach failed. So we wouldn't want you to wait for your teenager, for your daughter, for your son to get to that breaking point before you begin to fix them. We can't fix adults. We can fix kids and youths. Once they get to adults, it's too late. We can only manage them. So the same thing is applicable in mental health. Let's think more about prevention. Like I mentioned, food, exercise, sleep, talk therapy, communication. Some of your kids, you can't say that they're like this or like that. They lock themselves up in the room. You don't even know what they're doing there. And it's not about abusing force. It's about having the skill, the communicative ability of breaking the wall, of dialoguing, of listening. Most parents do not listen. They believe we don't know anything. We don't know what we're talking about. They don't give us a chance to express ourselves. Each kid, each youth is unique. What they like, we don't like. How they roll, we don't roll. So we cannot impose on them the societal expectations and expect them to be perfect. And nobody's perfect. So that's my addition to what Moran said.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Please remember, you can raise your hand, you can contribute. Let's quickly get this.
We need some engagement. We need some interactions in the house, on the floor, please. Anybody apart from Ife, anybody apart from Dr. Ofondo and Morag, would like to hear from other people, please. All right. Uncle Chimex, I believe Uncle Chimex is raising his hand. Can you unmute him, please, ma'am?
All right. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Chudi. It's always amazing following you and listening to you. And also want to recommend everybody to follow his Facebook page, his YouTube channel. You have to learn a lot, both as a man and as a woman. There's so much to learn from Dr. Chudi. Dr. Chudi, I want to tell you that I'm a secret follower and admirer, and God will bless you for all the work you do sacrificially for everybody on earth, both open clinics and those mental webinars. May God bless you. And I also want to say thank you to Morag. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot under you this afternoon. May God bless you. And also a big thank you to Ife of FACEYOUth. Thank you so much, ma, for all the amazing things you've been doing. May God bless you. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
This guy, if you're not married, you're in trouble.
You say what?
Max, if you're not married, you're in trouble. You have such a good heart. I almost thought it was a lady talking, and I didn't know you're a secret, follower. But you don't have to hide. You can always come out. We can always collaborate. But you're a good guy, and the stuff you're spotting on your T-shirt says "Never give up." I remember vividly you've presented on this platform. But I will tell you this: if we all failed, we failed because we forgot we belong to each other. If the reason why you wake up every day is not for humanity, then you're wasting your time. So if we don't take care of humanity, who's going to take care of our humanity? So thank you guys for finding it worthy, because if we're talking to stones are not responsive. But thank God we have people that listen to what we have to share and they're actually learning. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Our host, do we have any other questions before we go to the musical interlude? Any other questions, please? Any other engagements? Does anybody want to add something? Any contributions on the floor? All right. I'm just going to give us a few moments.
This is really surprising. I mean, most times we show up and we have so many questions to attend to. For the first time, I don't know, maybe people are still in the festive mode. Maybe they're still coming from hangover or whatever, because we have 28 people in attendance. And I can tell you this, we all have kids. We all have
questions, man.
So, okay, Tonya is raising her hand. Let's allow Tonya. Let's see what she has to say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tonya, go ahead. And okay. Can we unmute Tonya, please? Okay,
oh, sorry, I was talking. I didn't know I was still on mute. Okay. Thank you very much for the lovely presentations this evening. A lot was gained from it. I just wanted to add that there are a lot of mindfulness apps out there to manage anxiety. It helps a lot because with COVID, a lot of us had anxieties, series of anxieties, and sometimes even when you speak with the medical team, they think you're making it up. They think you're exaggerating. So a lot of mindfulness apps are out there as well as speaking to a professional. They help. Thank you. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to respond? Okay. Hello, go ahead, please.
No, I would leave to the professionals. I'm not a professional. You want to talk? You want to give?
Yeah, I wanted to say something, but I wanted Murak to come in with our perspective, then I will chip in my.
Okay, sir.
Murak, please go ahead.
Yeah, so what I would say to that is great. There are lots of apps, and I think if you use them and add mindfulness into your daily practice, so the breathing, as the doctor talked about, what I can say to you is you cannot be anxious and relaxed at the same time, right? Your body will not allow you to be anxious and relaxed. So if you can practice that daily relaxation, that mindfulness, and so I would use the 5 senses when I'm talking to people about, in everyday tasks. So think about when you're in the shower, what can I see, what can I smell, what can I hear, and those mindfulness practices can really help reduce that anxiety. But if it does go beyond mindfulness and you do see that, constant stressors or that constant anxiety, overthinking, that's when you need to start talking, because mindfulness in itself doesn't always help.
True. And I have to
got a question.
Okay.
I got a question, but I'll let the doctor speak. Okay. When you finish, I'll ask my question.
Okay, so here's the deal. Remember, the people that develop those apps are humans, right? And during COVID, we had to cope. The world didn't know, we can work from home and do a lot of things. We thought the world was going to come to an end. Guess what? The world didn't come to an end. So the apps are like human construct, more like trying to mimic that human interface. They cannot replace humans. No matter how good a robot is, you cannot replace humans. So I wouldn't want it to be solely attached or to be addicted to the app and be hoping, if I do this on this relaxation app, it's going to help me a lot. Time will come when it will be outdated. And if you're used to that particular app to derive your high, then you have a problem. But when you connect with people, because I know in medical field, there are so many of our colleagues that are very assumptive. So they believe that you're okay. Once they check out their boxes, they think you're making it up. Though in medical practice, some people can pretend to be sick when they're not sick and all that, to seek favor and all that. But every individual has to be listened to. Every individual has to be treated on individual basis. Good, there are so many apps, but I will tell you this. Majority of the apps and all these newer technological gadgets out there, they have one objective: to make money. Look, I know what I'm talking about. So if you develop your own coping mechanism within you, and your normal is your normal, by the time you exceed your normal, then you can begin to think outside the box. Then please don't get comfortable in any comfort zone. So if your app is working for you, be careful. That might be your comfort zone. Always think outside the box. Identify those people that genuinely understand where you're coming from. Unfortunately, most people don't understand where we're coming from. Even the people you love so much, sometimes they think you're going crazy because they want what they want and when they want it. So don't be solely dependent and addicted to any app that might work. They were constructed by humans like us. The best approach is always human interaction. And thankfully, we might not even see in person. We might use the platform we are using today, and believe me, you will go back feeling like a kid again. Thank you.
Thank you. We are out of time. Unfortunately, that's as much as we can take on this segment of Face Youth Mental Health and Stigma Reduction Seminar. You can join us next same time, I believe same platform. I'm not sure if I'm correct. Next month for another edition. Right about now, we are going to proceed to closing remarks, and I believe that the host has a couple of words of closing remarks in that regard. What's her name again? My sister. If you take it away.
Thank you so much, Henry. It's just vote of
right.
thanks. I'd like to thank everyone for making time out of your busy schedule, or taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, Coletta, do we have the spin wheel ready? Can we run it quickly?
Okay, while we're running it, I had a question I wanted to ask the doctor, please.
Go ahead,
Go ahead and ask the
Quickly,
doctor.
Doctor, please tell me, what exactly is the role of exercise in ameliorating anxiety and stress? Because exercise, as everybody's mentioning exercise, you know, they say if you exercise, you eat well. What exactly is the role? Does it really work? Because sometimes, you know, I find like if I don't follow my routine, it starts to worry me. I start to stress as well. That's a lot of stress. So please.
Okay. Let me make it very simple. Exercise, it's like your best friend on so many levels. Now, when you are exercising, you are reminding the whole body systems of the original design, how they were meant to function. You are reminding your lungs to breathe in fresh air and expel the bad air. You are reminding your brain to be alert. If you're in the gym, you're lifting those iron, your brain is telling you, go easy, don't go too fast. Your heart is pumping blood, your livers are okay, your kidneys are okay, everything is working perfect. When you do all this, the whole metabolism in the body will be in equilibrium. So in metabolism, I'm talking about the catabolism and the anabolism. Catabolism is building up, catabolism is breaking down, anabolism is building up. So it tells your body how to function properly. When you are also exercising, you are increasing the blood flow to all the important organs in the body. When blood is flowing to all the important organs in the body, you're distributing oxygen. When you're having oxygen, everything is working perfectly. Now, an important hormone which is increased when you exercise is called endorphins. Endorphins is the feel-good hormone that you don't even care if the world is collapsing. When you are sweating, it doesn't matter if you're in pain. When you're sweating and the level of your endorphins are good, you don't care about anything in the world. Now, the reason why you have anxiety when you don't go back to what you normally do to relax is because it's now become a routine. So if you're someone that loves to go for a walk, the day you don't go for a walk, you begin to feel that something is wrong. So I can spend 24 hours today and tell you about the healthy benefits of exercise, but I'll tell you this, there is no wrong benefit in exercise unless you go overboard. There are some people that go to the gym, they are gym rats. They can actually have counter, effect. Like if we want to have a baby, and you go to the gym and you begin to, rep up a lot of intensive body hurting routines, then you can spoil your opportunity of having a baby because extreme exercise can affect your ovulation. And when you don't ovulate, you can't have a baby. But moderate, normal exercise you can do every day for 30 minutes. Oh my God, you can't go wrong. There is absolutely nothing in this world that will not be responsive to exercise. When you exercise, you had a very stressful day. When you exercise and you shower, you sleep like a baby. You don't. Can I
add something? Can I add something, please? Just a quick one. Can I add something? Yeah. I just want to add that I'm grateful for all the comments. For music, I just want to come from the music perspective. It can really help for your mental health, doctor. I think you're aware.
100%, 100%.
Music is life. I'll give my experience. I had my baby in front of my staircase, but it wasn't planned, and the baby came out. So afterwards, I was asked, what do you want to use for your mental health? Or, but God saved me and the baby, and I thank God that we are both alive. But I was asked, what medical help would you need? They were coming to me, asking me questions. And at that moment, I wasn't really worried about the medical attention because I didn't have any cut or tear or whatever. It was just like what the Bible would say. It's a Hebrew woman one. But my problem was, what's going to happen tomorrow? I was scared and everything. But I really love the medical perspective, and I'm grateful to God for the doctors and all the wisdom and everything. But what brought me out of all that is music. I'm just saying, just in case anyone else is listening, go to doctors, meet the medical practitioners is really important. What helped me was music, prayer, and then midnight prayer. Because when I wake up to breastfeed, all I was doing was kind of praying, talking to myself and staying positive, So, but just to add to everything that has been said with exercises, the medical practitioners' ideas. I have a background in biology, but it's quite different from what you're saying. And I love what you're saying. And I thank you all so much. But for anyone listening, if you're struggling with stress or whatever, get your music on. Stay happy. It keeps you, it changes your mood in seconds. And if you are a believer and you think, okay, I want to pray, prayer can switch your mood in seconds. It changes your mood. I've had times that I've been really low. Just a word of like 10 minutes of prayer or whatever brought me out. So just in case anyone is listening, with all the advices from the doctor, from the professionals, and with respect to music, put your music on. Put it on the background in your house, wherever you are. For your kids, they will start dancing. They would love it. It's just my suggestion. And thank you all so much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Hello, let me respond, then we can wrap. So here's the deal. In medical practice, lately, we practice holistic medicine. Okay? Now, remember that prior to the advent of drugs, we used to use herbs, right? So everything started from herbs. Then modern medicine came out and we started approaching things differently. Prior to now, if you have twins, we'll banish you to the evil forest. Prior to now, if you have a need for CS, you will die. So as we are evolving as humans, there are things we incorporate into what we do daily. Definitely, you can't go wrong with music. Without music, the whole world would have gone crazy. Would have all gone crazy and would have all killed ourselves. So music has a role to play. Matter of fact, when Elo was talking about exercise, there is no way you can enjoy your exercise if you don't play your favorite music. Either you put it loud or you put it in your ears. They are all therapeutic. But having said that, there are specific need for medical intervention in any medical issue. So sometimes we might think that this might be what might work for us. Sometimes we can latch on that. Sometimes we might think we know. But when you seek professional help, there are so many of my clients I don't give medications. I will just talk and they go home better. Then there are some clients that will need drugs. So it's all individualized. It's all customized. So let's not make the mistake of staying back and saying, like, if a newly delivered mother had postpartum psychosis or postpartum depression or maternal blues, I wouldn't subscribe to her staying back and trying to figure it out by herself. It's better you present, then we help you walk your walk. And the good thing about modern medical practice is the fact that you play a role in your management. Nobody will impose anything on you. Okay, so thank you for that perspective. And yes, music works. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. We've now come to the end of today's program. Special thanks to our presenters, our musical guests, and as well as our host. Does anybody have anything to add? And it's all for me from here.
Before we go over to the spin wheel, I'd like to again thank everybody. And so the next session is supposed to be, we moved it to the 3rd February of third Saturday of every month. But next month, we'll be having it on the 12th of February because we are opening a center in Aberdeen and everybody is welcome to the official opening of the FACEYOUTH Center at Gregshaw Road in Aberdeen. We'll send out the link again for registration because it's free to attend, but registration is mandatory because we will adhere strictly to the COVID rules. But the event will be streamed live. We'll probably just cover the presentation part of it. Dr. Adez Zulike is going to present mental health and stigma at the opening. It's just going to be 30 minutes presentation, and then we'll move on to other events. So thank you again to Morag. Thank you. We really appreciate you. What a powerful presentation. Glad we could have you back. You know, the last time she couldn't make it because we had a power cut. We had a very severe storm in Scotland and she was affected by the power cut, you know. And thank you. Dr. Trudy is one of us. He's one of our board members. So it's really one of us. But we thank you always for giving of your time, energy, and talent always to promote Face Youth. Thank you so much, Elochukwu Henry. Many people don't know. Henry is actually my elder brother. So we thank you so much for giving of your time, energy, and talent as well. So I'd like to introduce Coletta. If you can open your video, we have a new admin assistant, executive assistant at Face Youth, Coletta. So she's been working behind the scenes. She did some of the flyers and all that. So we also have Ebenezer is our IT support. We thank him always. He's one of us. He's also a co-founder. So I don't really think he's a staff. So Coletta, do you want to say a few words before we close? Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Chudi. I really enjoyed your section. Yeah, thank you, Morag, and thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this section, and it's really a privilege to be part of Face Youth. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody. Can we go to spin wheel? Are
Yes,
we
ma'am.
ready, Coletta? Then we'll close.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm about to spin the wheel.
Go ahead.
1, 2, go.
Drum roll, drum roll.
The winner is happiness.
Congratulations, happiness. If you can drop your email address, and then we get the £20 voucher to you, or its equivalent in any currency where you are based. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining. So we can have music on the background. Yeah. See you again next month. Thank you.